Yo, what up, people? Smith some motherfucking R here today, of course, to give you guys Nagi no Asukara episode 8 motherfucking review. And this week's episode, to be 100% honest, was probably quick. And so I'm going to try and do one of those quick reviews, because literally, this was probably, throughout the entire season of anime, the most simplest episode so far. Basically, Hikari and Ikari, they're above land. They decide, of course, to go to Ikari's boyfriend's house, and they eat dinner, and this whole thing about Hikari's not going to give up on his dad, teaching him, like, they can come together and basically have a nice dinner. Hikari, we're sleep here. You know, they basically end up sleeping there. And so now, technically speaking, Hikari is sort of living with Akari and Miyuna and this other motherfucker, who I still cannot remember this nigga's name. And basically, while they're like laying down, Hikari isn't asleep, but Ikari and her boyfriend are talking, and they're basically like, I gotta go. He's like, I gotta go underwater. We gotta straighten this out. I want their permission. I want their blessing. And Ikari, she was like, I don't think that's gonna happen. We'll see. And then basically, it's the next day. Apparently, Miyuna went out early for something, and we don't find out until like the end. But basically, then they decide that they're all gonna go literally to the city. And apparently the city is, of course, they have to take a train to get there, and of course they meet Kihara, and then it goes through this crazy ass thing about basically their little shops that apparently are ENA friendly. Basically they'll give you salt water so that your body can, you know, so that your body doesn't dry out. That's basically the main point of these like locations. They're very rare, but they're still around in the city, which really makes me want to believe that there are other types of villages around. But please mention them, because this is the last village, and I'm going to have to side more, honestly, with the people trying to protect their culture. Like, sometimes you gotta take drastic means to protect your self-being, to protect your history, and so fuck it. But basically, Miyuna, she's looking for something to give to Ikari, and then there are two scenes of somewhat big importance, where basically, the first one is basically Chisaki. She enters the elevator last, and of course, red light, nah, 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 it's too heavy. And she's like, oh, I just lost weight too. And of course, a joke. Basically, of course, Hikari, being the nice guy he is, he gets off with her, and then they're talking, and basically, this is when stuff gets real. Because I'm like, oh yes, they're going to share an elevator up, and so this is going to lead some type of tension. And it did. Basically, Chisaki and Hikari were talking, and she's like, you like Monica, don't you? And basically, Hikari says, like, I just want her to be happy. He's willing to give up his own happiness for Monica, and he really does believe that she's gonna leave and go to the land. It's like her sister and apparently a lot of other people. And so when it comes down to that whole aspect of it, it's like, damn. And it's like, damn for one reason. And why, you may ask? Because of what Chisaki says. She basically contradicts herself with her own words when she says that you shouldn't give up your own feelings. You should still fight for. You shouldn't just give up that easily. You have to become you have to think about yourself too. You just can't think about her. What would make you happy? And the whole thing about it though was Chisaki, she was making some sense. But isn't that what Chisaki's doing right now? Damn. It was basically she's contradicting herself now. Because she's doing exactly what she told Hikari not to do. And then basically there was also a talk with fucking Monica and that other motherfucker, I can't remember his name, who apparently is just the fucking odd friend out. Basically Monica's saying that she kinda doesn't know yet. She likes him, and she's noticing that she's changing, and he notices things that she doesn't notice, and so it sort of looks like shit's getting real. Like, that's all I can say, because then basically fucking run around the fucking mall looking for a shell necklace. Hikari's like, oh, why are these so expensive? I mean, you can find them in the ocean. Like, they're not that hard to find. They're a little bit difficult, but not that much. And then basically, can I get a 12-week allowance? And a 12-week allowance raise. Like, alone, so to speak. And she's like talking about getting a job and all that. And that reminded me of back when I was a kid. Because we've all done that before. Like, you really want something, so you're just like making all these deals with your parents. Like, oh my god, you don't have to pay me allowance for this week and this week and this week. But what got me most of all was, if she's asking her father for, a loan or an advance on her allowance for 12 weeks, how does he give it to her? I mean, they're in different cities. Does she have like his credit card or something? She's only allowed to spend like a certain amount? A little bit of information missing there, but basically she's looking around. She ends up not finding it. She gets sad and depressed. Hikari's walking around. Miyuna freaks out. She pours water on him because he's like laying down. She thinks that he's drying up. And it turns out that what she grabbed in the morning was actual salt water. Just in case, they start drying up. And then it got this whole water fight. And then basically, of course, Akari, she's worried because they told her to come home by night. And she's in home by night. And they're like, we're going to the police station. Akari, she's scared. She's worried about her. And also possibly Hikari. But Hikari is kind of older, but Miyuna, yeah, she's really worried about her. Then basically they're walking, they end up meeting them, and basically find out that they spent a little bit extra time going through the beach, finding the shells, and they made their own necklace. Because, as we all know, handmade gifts are much better than bought ones. Unless of course, unless the person you're giving it to is very materialistic, in which case they don't deserve a fucking gift, and fuck them. So, that's basically the episode. Like, fast as shit, but fuck it. Either way, I'll give this episode right here 9 out of 10. It was a solid good episode with a little Misaki contradicting herself and also giving Hikari motivation to go after Monica, while at the same time, this motherfucker over here is giving Monica somewhat a realization of her own feelings for, of course, Hikari and... No, it's Kihara. And she's also somewhat thinking about Hikari also, and so... It's just mad crazy right now. At some point, it should hit a boiling point. And that's what I'm waiting for. But we won't see that for a while, because it's 26 episodes. I'm seeing one boiling point near maybe episode 20. We'll have to wait. Maybe a little bit. But still, fuck it, why not? So with that being said, Smith's to motherfucking R. Peace the fuck out.